but 30-year fixed mortgages are around like 7.5%. You can
Right.
take an adjustable for 7 years fixed at about 5.75.
So what does
So
that mean
now
though? So
with
for people who aren't won't
it,
understand like what that means, like does that mean that
it's
this rate is going to change with the how they're influencing rates and you're not locking something in?
well, you're fixed for 7 years,
Okay. At
and
at 5%, you said.
yeah. So I mean, it could reduce your payment by $1,000. And nowadays, where the market is shifting in the buyers, um, you're able to have the seller pay for closing costs as well to make the housing affordable. When the rates were low, the sellers were getting, whatever they wanted.
Right.
Nowadays, it works out in their buyer's favor. So agents are getting more strategic about how to submit offers to kind of be like neutral instead of just the sellers. So that's why you're seeing more sellers, more sales. But I think that will shift. If adjustable rate mortgages increase, then you'll definitely see the house prices, house sales go down.
Okay, why is
So
that
that's
still like why is that even available? Like why is that because I'm not into housing either. I'm not into real estate or mortgages or anything like that. Why is that an option? Like what are people
it.
losing? Like what's the downfall by taking this opposed to normally going.
So yeah, I'm basically, if someone wants to take a 30-year fixed mortgage, I'm basically just telling them you might want to hold it. Because why are you going to take out a mortgage, come up with a down payment, and have your mortgage payment be higher than rent? Doesn't make
Right.
much sense, right? If you take an adjustable, your payment is much more affordable. Kind of makes more sense when rates drop, and I think the rates should drop in the next 2 to 5 years. Everyone
Yeah.
will refinance, and instead of when the rates do drop, it's going to get competitive again because people want to buy
Right.
when the rates are 7.5, but it's kind of doesn't really make much sense here. So when the rates drop to let's say 6%, I think the market's going to get flooded. And if it drops in the fives, that means the adjustables will probably be in like the fours.
Interesting.
The
Right.
market's just gonna pick up. I believe house sales, the amount of listings has gone up
That makes
over the
sense.
last month, and I think it's gonna get the market's about to get uh, a lot more listings and houses that are going to sit. So I think end of next year, I believe the Feds announced they'll most likely cut their rate hikes. I
Okay.
think that's when you'll
Right.
see um, it start to pick up.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting. So I have a question for you, and again, I'm not knowledgeable in this space at all, but just like a generalized question.
No
When
worries.
if you were a home buyer, like what's the timeline like that you're seeing or like forecasting kind of in your head of like when would be the ideal time to get a home? Because right now it
Not
seems
here, yeah,
right, it seems
definitely not
questionable.
here.
Do you like is there anything that you're looking for specifically to flag it, be like, okay, this is happening, so maybe it's now's the time to do that, or you just kind of wait till things kind of settle down out of this
I
chaos
think
that we're in.
Yeah. So you know how they when they announce recession, we're already kind of out of the recession and maybe making our way to the upside.
Right.
I
Yep.
think just like the rate hike. So once I think mid next year, once if inflation has been already peaked and now we're coming down, I
Yep.
believe we're still going to keep the rate hike. So till mid next year, and after that, I believe you'll start to see the housing markets drop quite drastically. I think they say the US 10-year should go up to 5%.
I mean,
And
yeah,
it's been
it seems
hovering
like
around like in the twos and then now threes and then I think
The, t-
4%
the
now.
10 year is at 4
Um,
right now, 4.0.
right. It was up to 4.5. That's like, so that's the first thing I look at. Um, well, when I was busy, uh, if people wanted to lock the rate, that's the only thing I would look at is the 10-year treasury. Um, And looking at it now at 4.5, that was scary. So when they say it's going to be at 5%, I think the mortgage rates will get to around 8.5%. Imagine paying 8.5. It wouldn't. No one's going to be talking about mortgages at that point, unless adjustables are still affordable.
viable, yeah,
Right.
affordable.
So I
Yep.
think just mid next year, if the rates go up to 8.5, that's danger zone. I think you're going to see the housing market just collapse at that point. Maybe give it a little bit to see the prices settle in.
Yeah.
And if you, once the mortgage rates kind of shift, I think that would be a good time. Because
Awesome.
you can always
Awesome.
refinance. You don't want to wait till the rates drop down to 6% or 5 because I think the market's just going to get flooded at that point. You
Right.
might as well take that slightly higher rate and then just refinance out.
Very good, my
So
friend. I appreciate your explanations. We don't talk about that stuff very often here. We usually just focus on the charts. But cool, yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. And it seems like a lot of what you said kind of aligns with the timeline of the stock market. Like when the stock market's going to be near a bottom and everyone's in the shits, that's probably when you're going to be able to buy everything, at a good rate.
yeah, my loan officer friend, he always says when mortgage lenders are out of work, that's when the market crashes. And that's really because, purchasing a property is kind of their biggest asset. And if people start losing equity in their home, they start panicking. So,
Right.
not saying that's the only thing, but he's hit it a few times um, in the market being bullish when the market or bearish when the market goes down for real
Right.
estate.
Got it. So
Awesome.
while new home sales right now are beating expectations, you're expecting as interest rates continue to go up and mortgage rates therefore follow that it will eventually catch up and then new home sales will start to drop off. Kind of.
I am very confident in that. There's no one, it's very rare. If someone's taking out a 30-year fixed mortgage, they're not doing right by their lender. It makes zero sense taking out a rate at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but these are
You
And
can
just
take, why would
lawyers.
you do it? You don't care what type of mortgage you have. The rates will drop in 7 years.
Right.
I mean, heck, even in 2 years, it should come back down. You would taper off a little bit because what they do is they build in the rate hikes into the pricing now. So because they're already forecasting rate hikes all the way till next year, that's why you're seeing the rates go up from what were we like 2.75, 3% in
Oh
end of
man.
last year, and we're already 7.5.